to get better reactions, because people will actually react better to a video email and open up more emails that contain video than those that don't. And so, and also it monitors how much they watch of the video, if they watch the video, and how many times they watch the video. So if you're interested in learning how to get better reactions to your emails, give me a call. Bruce with Blue Sky Video Productions, and you've got my phone number. If you don't, DM me through anything like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm around. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Todd Renahan with Allstate, where I give our clients financial certainty in life and in retirement. And I was amazed that last year, despite not being able to meet with people face-to-face, one-on-one, I still brought in more assets than I had in the years past. And overall, we crossed over $50 million of assets under management just in the last 12 years working at Allstate. People like the constant contact, where I'm reaching out to our clients 2 to 4 times a year, kind of based on your age. And they're understanding now the importance of taking the right amount of risk. Too much can be just as devastating as too little. We still have to make our money grow, and we have to look at our returns in more than just a 1 or 2 year time span, because all of my retirement clients are in retirement for more than just a couple of years. So we have to look at a 20-year time frame as to how our money is. I just had Monday was my 24th anniversary being a financial advisor, and my 12th anniversary here at Allstate. So it is hard to believe, and I do owe a big debt of gratitude to the GLMV chamber for helping a young Todd Renahan, who could barely spell IRA, get my name out and about, and here we are 24 years later talking to you. So thank you for that. Todd Renahan with Allstate. Ray.
Good morning. I am Ray, the promo man from Perfect Promotions. We work with everybody and anybody that's looking to promote their business, whether it's something like hand sanitizer, face masks, coffee mugs, pens, shirts, you name it. We can work with it, and we can find you what you need. It's been a very interesting year, to say the least. You know, it's a little harder when people aren't able to visit with each other and you know, go to somebody's office and deliver, you know, a pizza cutter or a pad folio or whatever to, you know, as a leave behind. So we're having to find new ways of getting the ads out and getting people recognized. But everything, you know, every little bit helps, and every step is another step in the right direction. So if you're looking to promote your business, or if you know somebody that is looking to promote their business or say thank you to their friends or their staff and clients, give me a call, because I am the promo man. I love
Al,
how everybody knows that.
Over you. Your turn, Al.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Al Scaletta. I'm in the technology business with Comcast, providing phone and internet to your home office, as well as remote office, any type of office, anybody that needs internet. So if you need internet phone service, you can call me. I'll pick up the phone. Al Scaletta with Comcast Business, and also Lake County Toastmasters, providing personal development in your speaking skills. We meet on the first and third Wednesdays at noon via Zoom, so you can contact me as well. And I'm in the chat, all my contact information. Have a great Friday, everybody.
Good deal. Lars, how about you?
Yeah, I'm Lars Rasmussen, World Financial Group, but mainly is associated with a section called Wealth Wave, and where we have the same goal. We are kind of focusing a lot of helping people retire, the baby boomer age, because there's so many pitfalls, like Todd was saying, do the right investments, But outside that, there's all the stuff around when to sign up for Social Security, how to handle long-term care and tax concerns, and definite guaranteed income through retirement. That's pretty important. Otherwise, you have to rely on the basement of your kids when that time comes, and that's not fun, I believe. So, and then, but we've been very lucky this year or last year. Last year was, January through December last year with Wealth Wave, the group I'm part of there, was the best year ever. We just kept growing, and we're on the same trend here. So it's, the need is enormous out there. And some of the success is coming from, like Bruce was saying, we were ahead of the curve with having videos, all kinds of presence on the internet. So it's just, we have a wealth of stuff we don't have to come up with it ourselves. It's right there, pop in our name. We can track who opened the videos, see who saw them, and so forth. So we're on a very good track. So, and the need is there. We did enormous, Todd does good. We all do good. And none of us have even made a dent in the need. So it's just make sure you talk to somebody that is trustworthy and so on, because there's no reset button in retirement. So make sure you do it the best you can. We won't all be living in Lake Forest and so on, but we could make the best we can for ourselves. So Lars Rasmussen, World Finance Group.
How about Mike?
Yes, good morning. Mike Ackerman, Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen, coming to you this morning from the beaches of Maui. We are a full-service design, build, interior remodeling firm. Very excited to tell everyone that we just concluded our best January ever, despite the pandemic. Been going to jump around a little bit here. Been spending a lot of time the last few weeks working with the committee on the upcoming gala, which I'm sure Carol will talk about soon. I think everybody on this call probably received an email from me inviting you to join us, so we encourage you to do that. Also want to jump ahead. You've probably all seen an email too. We do a blood drive for the Red Cross twice a year every year, and the next one's coming up in April. We expanded a little bit each time, so I'm going to have a tropical atmosphere theme this time, literally with some palm trees in there and a few other surprises here and there. Would encourage you all, if you love getting stuck by needles, to participate. I want to thank Yale. He has already signed up. Also want to talk just a little bit about, we give a gift bag to every donor every year, and the contents of the gift bag really are promotional items for local businesses to help you promote yourself. The kind of thing that, for donors, it's good for them and it's good for businesses because it promotes them. Ray and Tom Gottfried had stuff in the bag last time, so I'll be looking for stuff like that for the future. So like I said, I'm jumping all over the place, but it's been kind of an exciting time. Again, great month in January, all kinds of fun things going on. So, you guys are all the ones that participate in everything anyway, so I encourage you, just keep it up.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yale, how about you? What do you got there?
Well, buying a home is probably the biggest investment most people make. So when you buy that home, wouldn't you like to have as much information about what's going on in that home? Not only is the roof and the furnace and water heater important, but what are those black spots that we find in the attic or in the basement? Possibly mold. What is your radon level? If you need or want to find out what all that it means when you're buying that home and have as much information as possible, it's Yale at Harrison Property Inspection. I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two.
That was good. James Smith, what do you got?
Well, good morning, everybody. I don't look at how many homes I sell or the numbers, but I do look at the amount of clients I help and how I help them. And I'll give you a couple examples. I've got an 87-year-old lady that's one of my great clients that has a number of rental properties. She's at the early stages of dementia, and she thinks her neighbor put something in the middle of the yard that whenever she's home, her legs get electrocuted. Now she wants to sell that home and buy another one. I've been working with the family trying to keep her from doing that because it's not a smart thing. I've actually referred the family to an elder attorney because I'm worried about her. She needs help so that they can have more control. That's just one of them. The other one I have going on right now is one of my clients had a rental property for 10 years. He's in Pennsylvania. When I went into the house, there was so much grease in the kitchen. that we couldn't even open the oven door and the microwave. So right now, the home, in a week and a half, the whole house has been repainted. Today, new carpet's being installed. Yesterday, it was microwave range, and it's going to be ready to put on the market by tomorrow. So, and I don't charge any extra for that. So to me, it's about service. And right now, a lot of my business coming in is through personal referral. James Smith, Remax Showcase.
Good work, James. Tom Godfrey.
Well, hello, it's Tom Godfrey, Thomas Group. Yesterday, I spent an hour or two at a local school setting up, reconfiguring their internet, which I don't really manage. I don't charge for it, but one of their problem, and it always comes down to what's the problem they're having, is one of the students, it's a private school, one of the students is trying to do online learning, and without a reliable internet connection, the parents were upset and talking to the school owner that you can't have their child here if they can't participate in their distance learning. So we reconfigured and added an extender. And we'll be talking to Al about getting a dedicated line just for that part of the school, because I can't get into their wiring closet and get into their stuff. The landlord won't let them, which is, again, not very good service to a tenant, but Comcast will benefit with a dedicated line for what, $40 a month. And I suggest if you need giveaways and stuff, just have Ray send it to you direct, Mike, because why have me as the middleman? Just say, hey Ray, I need 3 or 4 Thomas Guard things and some Yale stuff and a squeezy ball, and I'll save you picking it up at my house. So worry-free IT at a fixed monthly rate, and just like James Smith, we go the extra mile and make sure that your systems actually do what you need them to do.
But Tom, I enjoy coming to your house.
I won't let you in though. My wife's like, who's that stranger?
Who's that? Gotcha. Well, good deal.
You know him. He's going to fix the kitchen one day.
Now Now I've got Scott Adams. I'm going to have you introduce Scott Burton. But if I saw correctly, Scott Burton, is that a Max Prairie Wings vest that you have on?
It's not, but I can understand why you'd think it is.
Yeah.
So let's pretend like it's coming out of the great state of Arkansas.
Yes, I see that logo. I wasn't sure if that was the duck feather or not. So
no, it's the North Face, but I know what you're talking about.
I gotcha. If only, right? So Scott Adams, why don't you introduce our guest, and after that,
Absolutely.
Then we'll get into a little bit of Q&A. Now, I will warn everyone, our guest speaker is an attorney, so the comedy hour is at the gala in a couple weeks. Although I think Scott's a tough guy, he probably doesn't need to get ridiculed at 8:15 in the morning. Although if you're working on an attorney joke, go ahead and try it today. But Scott Adams, why don't you take it away?
By all means. Well, I want to thank Scott. He's one of our newer members for doing this today. But I felt he's got kind of a varied background in law. I thought it'd be a good opportunity for him to kind of give us an update. But Scott's a planning attorney and is a native of Libertyville with a deep passion for community. He has previously worked throughout the country in government, public interest, and private law practice. Before returning home to Illinois, he was a civil litigation attorney at a law firm in Arkansas and served as chief of staff and legal counsel in the Arkansas office of the lieutenant governor. So Scott, thanks very much for doing this today, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is really, truly, really exciting for me to talk to business owners in the community that I grew up in. Here's what I'd like to do is just kind of talk about my personal background. I'll talk about my practice a little bit, and then open it up for questions. So grew up in Libertyville, attended Libertyville High School, and this is a group of business owners. So I'll tell you about my first job. It was at the McDonald's on Milwaukee Avenue. It was, in between 176 and 137. And every time we drive past, I tell my kids, I used to work there. And at first they said, that's really cool. And now they just roll their eyes, and I think it's funny to tell them over and over again. And, speaking of comedy, Todd, I guess, it's a dad joke when you think it's hilarious and your kids think you're, the biggest embarrassment possible.
Amen.
But you know, the common theme that I think, you know, most successful business owners have, certainly people on this call, and certainly my practice, is a focus on customer and client service. And recently I've had the opportunity to work with some franchise owners that own McDonald's restaurants. And they love this story in particular. But I tell them I learned everything I needed to know about customer service by serving a regular priced coffee to a senior citizen when I was 14 years old working at McDonald's. And it's true, because they let me know. I don't even know if senior citizen pricing is still a thing, but they let me know I was wrong and how to make it right. And, you know, I wish that wasn't such a, I feel like it's a lost art of sorts to have really good quality customer service. But you know, if I can change that even with my law practice in itself, you know, I tend to do so. So went to Libertyville High School. When I graduated, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. And Todd's going to hold any other jokes he has for the Marine until the end, I'm sure. But I really did it out of sense of service. Wanted to do something very real world that would affect others. And I thought that was the best option. Spent some time in California, in Asia, and then the initial invasion of Iraq in 2003 with an infantry unit. Obviously a very definitive experience. And when I came home, I went to school here at Northwestern, political science and history major, and got involved in politics pretty much right away. Moved to DC after graduation, working for John McCain's presidential campaign in his headquarters. So I got to work with some of his top staff and the late senator himself. Met my wife in the process, who worked in the George W. Bush administration, and was lobbying at the federal level at the time. She came with me when I attended law school in Central Virginia. And then, I'll go through very briefly a lot of the different roles I've had, because I think it could be helpful if they trigger any questions, or if you'd be interested in getting a perspective on something, you can ask me. So I went into law school, wanted to be a criminal prosecutor. I love criminal law. I grew up riding along in high school with the Libertyville Police Department and thought it was just the coolest thing in the world. First job in law school was with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. So it was law and order, and it was high drama, high crime, really just a blast. But when I brought my wife and one-year-old son to Manhattan, and we lived in a studio apartment, basically the size of a closet, my wife said, "Don't think about taking a job here." My wife Holland is from East Texas. So my next year, I went to the big law firm in Texas, law firm called Jackson Walker. And it's everything you might expect from that kind of depiction of long hours, big law firm, high, big corporate clients. And it just wasn't for me. I didn't like that I couldn't really connect with people. I really became a lawyer so I could be a resource to individuals who needed problem solved. And, the pay was good, the benefits were great, but I was missing that kind of fulfillment of working directly with people who needed their problem solved. So when I graduated from law school, I actually joined a law firm in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'd never thought I would move to Arkansas before meeting my wife, but there I was. It was actually the law firm where Bill Clinton spent 2 or 4 years in between his terms as governor. I'm not sure if they were 4-year terms back then, but it was really interesting. Got to meet the president at one point, worked with a lot of the people who handled some of his high profile legal cases, which was really interesting to someone like me who kind of came of age during his administration and went to law school and kind of looked more into, the Whitewater scandal, that sort of a thing. And I got to work under the attorneys who handled those matters. So really, really interesting stuff. After a year there, however, the former congressman and current lieutenant governor, Tim Griffin, asked me if I'd join his office. And, again, I really have a passion for public service. It was a really exciting position because he was very influential in all sorts of policy. And I helped him lay the foundation to make his run for governor in 2022. And he was planning to just walk right in. He's beloved in the state of Arkansas, has all the qualifications as a former congressman, U.S. attorney. And then you may have seen in the news that Sarah Sanders announced that she is running for governor, which changes the dynamic entirely. So Sarah's a friend of mine. I talked to her a little bit less now since she had the big job in the White House, but Arkansas is a very interesting political world because it's a small state, but you have a lot of heavy impact. And, I think that goes back to Clinton and, Mike Huckabee, who's been on the national stage, and now Sarah Sanders. So any interest there, happy to talk about it. And then, so I returned home with 3 kids, loved the community, kind of looking for the same things my parents were looking for when we moved here when I was a child, and started my law practice. So, Scott mentioned primary focus is estate planning, but also business planning, business formations, and small business representation, kind of an external in-house counsel kind of a thing. So I'll help companies with contracts, some employment matters. And really, I've kind of developed the practice into a smaller version and more accessible version of what you would find at the big Chicago law firm. So, same quality of work, less expensive, and much more accessible. I hand my cell phone out and people call me anytime, whenever they need anything. So if I'm going to talk about the philosophy of my practice, I think it's a little different than most lawyers because it really is that client-centered approach. And you would think, although if you've worked with lawyers before, you might understand where I'm coming from. Lawyers are very focused on the law, which is good. That's what they should be doing. But the bottom line is, you could have a great product, but if you're not providing the customer service and you're not providing the value, it can only go so far. So, when I look at small business owners, some get it and some just don't. And I'll talk about Ray, the promo man, for a minute. I asked him about some pens, and you'd think it's a very simple process, but I ask a lot of questions. And I think he was on the phone with China yesterday for hours trying to negotiate like freight rates for me. And then no questions too silly or small. So I appreciate that, Ray, but I feel like that's a lost art when you go on, the internet and you search, and you might get a chat where you talk to a computer that tries to answer your questions for you. So I really try to embody that in my law practice. And to that end, I often find myself doing, especially with my business clients, a fair amount of consulting as well, addressing problems that aren't only legal. So, I hold myself out as a problem solver. If you have an issue, let's try to work through it. Oftentimes there's legal issues involved, but sometimes it's not. I don't think I've ever worked with a business client that didn't need some sort of assistance or insight with their financials that I provided them outside of the formal legal relationship. So let me finish by kind of telling a story about a client I helped that kind of shows the maybe unique approach and creative approach, but you may be very familiar with this new sensation of Instagram influencers, where they develop their following and essentially they're just a personality online, and then they get sponsorships, and they can get paid very, very well. So I had one of these Instagram influencers who I think she hit the 250,000 follower mark. And I think that's a benchmark that a lot of these management companies will look at if they want to bring, an influencer on as a client, negotiate deals on their behalf. They have relationships to some major, some companies that like to advertise on social media. So she called me and said, they want to negotiate a contract. Would you take a look? And I said, absolutely. I haven't looked at this before, but I think it's pretty interesting. So essentially what this contract did was it established a relationship where the company would be the management, and they would handle again, Nordstrom, for example, or Bed Bath & Beyond. And they would negotiate those contracts with the influencer so that they could get compensated for promoting the business online. But it was based in Texas. The contract was, the applicable law was Texas. And there is a maximum by state statute, an agency. So this is essentially like a talent agency. So, an agent representing an actor, for example, can only contractually be entitled to 10% of the proceeds that they facilitate. So whatever money the influencer would make, if they were an agent relationship, they'd only get 10%. But by calling it a management company, they were trying to skirt that issue and they were charging 20%. Also, there were all sorts of terrible provisions in there that entitled them to cuts from her previous business, anything moving forward, even if they weren't involved, that sort of a thing. So when we sat down and we provided them with a modification, they just accepted it, and it just having an attorney, I think, submit it on her behalf made them think, okay, this probably isn't worth the negotiation and the worry. But I'm very confident we've probably saved her tens of thousands of dollars in the next year or next year. And I think that's kind of a fun example of a client that I didn't necessarily think that I would represent, or I don't market to directly, but it just goes to show that problem solving mentality. So with that, I want to make the best out of your Friday morning and make this as engaging as possible. So I'd love to, maybe take questions, or if there's something you're looking at, I could go through the elements of an estate plan, and I could go through the 10 pitfalls of a business contract, or the 5 tips and tricks to ensure a successful closing. But that might not be applicable to everybody and not all that interesting unless you're immediately dealing with that issue. So if you are, give me a call, and I can do all that, and we'll just consider it an extension of this meeting. But I think would be most fun is, if there's anything in my background you want to ask me about. Scott may be dreading the fact that I mentioned, ask me about politics, but I'm a very objective person, and I may be able to answer some questions that, for example, the congressman couldn't answer at our last meeting. And that's nothing against him. He's good at his job, but part of his job is to, avoid answering questions to some extent. So, Scott, is that okay with you? Can we just kind of open it up to any comments, questions?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, there's been, I'm just wondering if you touch on this with your clients at all. I mean, there's just been a tremendous amount of fraud out there. A lot of it's tied in with all the stuff that's gone on with the pandemic. Obviously, there's been a lot of IDES stuff. We actually got touched by that most recently. And I'm just wondering what you're seeing out there and if you've had some experience with that.
So I've had personal experience. Someone filed an unemployment claim with my name. Yeah, and it's personal, and so my experience is it's impossible to get someone on the phone from Illinois State.
Yeah.
I'll tell you kind of what I'm doing, and this was at the suggestion of somebody with the insurance department once I got in touch with them, and she was actually incredibly helpful. Document everything, because if anybody's had any sort of involvement, particularly with the state of Illinois government, you can't take anything for granted. And if you share information with someone, there's no guarantee that that's going to pass to the next person handling it. So, I received notification that a claim was filed in my name, and then I received a debit card, and I didn't touch the debit card because I didn't want to, activate it or anything. And then I got a bill saying that I had to return all this money to the state. So, I'm still in the process of talking to several people, just making it known there's a fraudulent claim. There's a couple websites. I think there's a federal and both a state website where I submitted my notification that a fraudulent claim had been filed. And then it's a matter of, you know, I'm a lawyer, so I kind of go over the top with this a little bit, but it can be helpful. I document every conversation I've had. If I send information to anyone, just in case at some point the state of Illinois comes back to me and says, you owe all of this unemployment, you know, money, I can say, I didn't touch it. I had nothing to do with it. So that's my personal experience. Thankfully, I haven't had any clients that have dealt with it.
Well, that's good. You know, I should just bring this up because I saw Lars nodding his head as well, but I got that same thing. I didn't get the debit card, but I got the notification that I had filed. And then the same day I get a letter here saying that our unemployment rate's going to go up because I had filed.
Oh,
So I went in on the web. I couldn't get anybody on the phone. I mean, trying to talk to anybody at the IDES is ridiculous. So I went online, filed that claim form for me and did it online, sent it in. And then I went on, when I got on the back side of the letter we get as an employer, there's a claim form on that. So I filled that out. Well, lo and behold, 3 days later, Vera, our office manager, got the same thing. So told her to do the same thing. But out of the blue, last week, I got a letter from an integrity department of the IDES, and it just smelled like fraud all over the place. So, it wanted Social Security numbers, bank accounts, all this other stuff. So I didn't know who to turn to. So I got a hold of Dan McConkey and said, Dan, you know, what's the deal on this? He goes, well, call Deb in our office. And I think it was a week ago today at after 9 o'clock and walk her through what you got. And so she said, she goes, well, I can't give you legal advice. She goes, but tear it up and throw it away. There is no department in IDES. So it is rampant out there.
yeah.
So I'm just, my word of caution, if any of you get this thing like Scott and I got and Vera got, act on it right away and document everything that you've got. Mine never got to the point where and actually yesterday at home, I got the release. So they acknowledge that it's fraud. So I'm assuming that Vera's going to get the same thing. And I'm sure we'll get something here at the office today that will say the same thing. But man, I'll tell you, they are out there and it's unbelievably ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the biggest point, Scott, is be on the lookout for somebody requesting personal information always. Oh, yeah. I am a master at sniffing out fraud. However, I had somebody develop or buy my website domain, and I got an email saying it's going to expire here soon. And I just thought, oh, okay, maybe he did just a short-term purchase. Clicked on it, paid for to renew the domain, and sure enough, it was just a shell organization that took my credit card payment. And I thought, oh, they got me. So I mean, that is important. And it's another good point as far as getting some constituent service work from your elected officials. When I was in the lieutenant governor's office, I had no idea how much constituent casework I would be doing. Arkansas is a very different state, very small. You know a lot of the people, but oftentimes if someone had an issue in a state agency, I would call over to the chief of staff, to the director, or maybe just that department's head, and just say, hey, I'm calling just to check in on this. And wouldn't you know it, like they solved the problem the next day, just a little bit of exposure to it. Now, I'm not as optimistic for the state of Illinois, but contacting your elected officials, that's definitely in their job descriptions to help you navigate state government.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And Dan,
anybody else got a question for Scott?
Yeah, I just want to mention that I got one of those letters from the state for the unemployment last week. And actually in the letter, they had the state's website in there, and I went in on the website and let them know that it was fraud. And then I actually received the letter stating that it was fraud, letting me know that they received it, which made it a little bit easier. And I actually got hit twice with the PPP loan. And the first time Legal Shield caught it. And I was on the phone with Legal Shield to the agency in Washington, D.C., and I've told them to hang up. I was on the phone for 3 hours. They had 105 other people in front of me trying to let them know that this was fraud. So it is crazy out there.
Yeah, no, it is. It's ridiculous.
Can I give a little bit of a promo for the EDS? No, it's I got that unemployment notice too. and try to file online, but you need a number to attach it to. And if you don't have that, you're supposed to call the office. And my heart kind of fell down in my belly when I saw there was this kind of the same number as you used for the other unemployment and all that stuff. So I said, oh, they're never going to call back. But I left my message and kept my peace and say, hey, I'm not doing anything, so just let it go. But within 2 weeks, a very nice lady called back from EDS, and she very quickly took me through what has to be done. And her advice was that keep everything you get, keep everything. And then when you get more or you get something different, make sure to compare the case numbers.
Yeah.
You might get something that says your case is closed, but then you're in the meantime or after get another one, make sure it has the same number. Otherwise, it's another one that is open that you don't know about. Now you have to call again. So like you're saying, Scott, it's keep your, do not throw out. And even if you don't have any intention to use it for anything, keep it for a good long while so you can always see what's going on.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I heard a report this morning that Illinois is one of the top targets for fraud, mainly because of the way it's organized and how they handle those claims. So the good news is we're one of the tops in that.
Yeah, another star for us.
Scott, are you able to incorporate a business or even draft up buy-sell agreements if you have a partner?
I sure am. And that was actually a very natural extension of my estate planning practice. So I do meet with individuals looking to form a business or looking to modify their arrangements, and yeah, I draft those documents.
It's real important. I don't know if anybody here has a partnership or if they know of someone, but I like to say it's never a problem until it is, and it's a big problem. And handshakes and napkins don't always constitute an agreement, as our counselor will say. So make sure you've got that in writing too, so you can protect yourself and so on.
Yeah, that's an often overlooked component of estate planning, Todd, where you'll have your personal assets and everything tied up, but then you have a business with a partnership, and there isn't an agreement, like a buy-sell agreement, like you mentioned, that says what happens if, say, someone is incapacitated, can't bring the value to the business that they normally do. And I've entered into some ventures with people who are good friends, and I say, listen, this is small potatoes, but let's put it in writing, because it's easier to talk about it now, before we're multimillionaires.
Yeah, then we get amnesia and we forget how it all started and all sorts of things. Yeah, that's right.
Still waiting for one of them to really hit it big, but I'm prepared if it does.
That's, back in my banking days, that was probably the most touchy comment or touchy subject to meet with a business owner. And they're so busy being involved in their business, they forget about the accounting side of things or the legal side of things. And the first thing you ask them is what's your succession plan for this business? And they kind of gloss it over. And a lot of times it's good to have their accountant there with them so that they can really emphasize how important it is, because the last thing you want to be is your dead partner's wife is your partner now. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a buy-sell agreement in there, you've got a lot of problems. And if you haven't done just the proper procedures of what's going to happen when you're not there, you think you're invincible. But if you drop dead, what's going to happen to the business? Who's going to take over that business when you're not there? And all those good secrets and all that stuff that you've developed over the years is gone. So it's a very important thing, and it's a difficult conversation to have with a business owner.
Yeah. But you want to talk about that kind of stuff.
Nope.
Same with life insurance and stuff. I'll never die, so why should I talk about it?
No, it's very difficult. So, any other questions?
There's another thing going on that my daughter's been asking me about. They're all eager to pay down their student loans, and they hear Bernie Sanders talking about free college and forgiveness. So they're getting robocalls or some kind of calls, and they think it's the federal, Student Loan Guarantee Corp or whatever it's called. And I said, don't even take the call. You make too much money. All they're going to do is try to get your social security number or some personal information. The next thing you know, you're going to have loans. So they're preying on the desires of, you know, recent college grads who are, at least I assume, I haven't researched. Have you heard or seen any of that, especially with the government side of it?
I haven't directly, but it doesn't surprise me. I think there is a scam out there for just about every group of people that want to have hope in something. And I think students with crushing education debt are among them. You know, I sometimes look back and think, I can't believe how much I spent on my, I was first generation to go to college. So, I really went for it and law school. And thankfully I had the GI Bill and a lot of assistance, but I have a lot of friends, especially from law school, who don't have the flexibility that I have because they are tied to that big law firm in order to pay those debts off. So I haven't heard about it, but I have no doubt that it's happening.
Scott, do you do anything in residential, like commercial, maybe lease negotiations, commercial sales?
I sure do, James. Yes, sir. Everything you need.
Yeah, I'm working on listing a large property for possible development, probably residential development. Do you deal with that kind of stuff too?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to a regular real estate attorney for that unless they're experienced in it.
Yeah, and let me talk a little bit about sort of my approach, because I'm constantly doing stuff that I've never done before. And, one of the questions you might have for someone is, have you done this before? And, I'm still relatively young. I mean, I've been practicing for 7 years and about 4 years in this space. So what I do have is I have relationships with people who have been doing this for well over 30, 40 years. And I'm actually very grateful that practitioners are very eager to hand down their expertise to someone who's willing to put it in a good practice. So, I can't guarantee that I could take it and say, all right, I'll handle this for you. But at the very, very least, I can get you to someone who will, or I'd partner with someone who could. Value I always add is you can always get me. Be the most accessible lawyer you've ever met. So yeah, if you have something, send it my way and we can talk about it to see what your options are. And that kind of, every like estate planning client I have, for example, and I ask them if they have a personal attorney and they say no. I say, well, just consider me your personal attorney. You have an issue, give me a call, because, tied into the Lake County Bar Association, if you need something, I can get you to the right place. And ultimately, I want to be a resource, not just the butt of every attorney joke.
Good deal.
Hey, Scott, I have a question. What is it that makes us here in Illinois so susceptible to fraud more than other states? And what are the one or two or three things that we can do, the top one or two or three things that we can do to make sure that doesn't happen to us?
So I'm going to give you my opinion. I don't know if this is exactly what makes us susceptible. Here's my intuition. One, we're a large state. We have a huge population compared, and I think sometimes we take that for granted just in comparison to others. So with the vast amounts of people, it requires larger organizations. More things can fall through the cracks. We're also known, and I don't think this is too politically charged, but we're a relatively bureaucratic state. There's a lot of bureaucracy here, and that I think that is prime territory for fraud, because like Lars mentioned or Scott, fraud happens. You can't get anybody on the phone, so that gives I think predators a lot of time to operate. For example, if someone gets a stolen credit card, they might buy a tank of gas, a small purchase, to see if it raises suspicion, and then they'll hit the Walmart and buy their big screen TVs and all that. I think if it takes more time to respond to it, there's more possibility. As far as how to prevent it, I think the number one thing is just be discerning and be thoughtful. And yeah, I was very susceptible to this online scam just because I'm a taskmaster. I had my list and I was crossing things off. Oh, got to renew the website. And I just took care of it. And it just didn't resonate that could be fraud. So I think slowing down, being thoughtful, if anything sounds the least bit suspicious, a little bit of research can go a long way. Once I looked up the website that I paid, it was very clear there was nothing there and there was nowhere to contact them. So yeah, does that answer your question, Ray, or is there something else I can touch on for you?
Yeah, yeah, it does pretty much. You know, I had the same kind of inquiry on one of my websites just a week or two ago. And what I did is I went to a website called whois.com, and it will not only give you the information on who owns the site, but it also give you the expiration date, and that's why I went there. So my website wasn't due to expire for 3 years. So I knew that there was something wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, and I could have avoided it with a simple call. I know now, if I called the guy who he's just an assistant of mine who bought the domain and said, hey, did you get this for a year? If he would have said yes, I called him after the fact once I saw the bill, could have avoided the whole thing. So if it seems the least bit suspicious, there's likely something up.
Just a quick, this might be old news, but I believe that banks and credit, all the credit stuff, they are starting to really look into that you have to reply to a fraud within 60 days. So that means that it's more important now than ever that you check your statement when you get it and then methodically go through each line item and make sure it's correct, because it's if you go longer, you can't get the money back and so on if you're not proactive.
Very true.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate the information, and we appreciate your service to the country. Thank you for that.
Yeah, good job, Scott.
Yeah.
So Scott, at the top of the screen here where I'm at, if you see this program out here, that's for veterans, active military, police, fire, and that. If you have any friends or anybody doing anything in real estate, it's a very important program for me. I actually give 25% of my commission back in a rebate after the closing.
Good deal.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for sure.
Thanks again. Carol and Scott, you guys want to close it out with what's going on and what we should know?
Yeah, Carol, what do we got?
Sure. Hey, everybody. That was a wonderful presentation, Scott. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise and your impressive background with us. And I think you'll be a wonderful addition to the community. You are a wonderful addition to the community and the chamber. And I think there's a lot of people that can really help you with connections. And again, thank you for all you do for us. So anyway, most of you probably already know about the gala coming up on February 18th. I think a lot of you are signed up. There's a few of you that haven't signed up yet, but I'm sure you will soon. So it's February 18th, virtual, but also there'll be a watch party at Mickey Finn's. You may not know that. If you decide you want to go to the watch party at Mickey Finn's, it'll be shown on the live screen, the big screen there. Please make sure you let us know so we get you down, because we do have limited space available for that. So we just need to know that you're going to be there. You can also have a watch party at your own office or home or location, wherever you choose. You know, it's up to you. So we've got a lot of sponsors and a great comedy show coming up, 7:30 to 8. Improv Playhouse provided us with this nationally known comic, Pratik. I can't say his last name, but that's going to be part of his presentation. So you have to stay tuned for that. He's supposed to be an exceptional talent. Everybody loves him, and we're very excited to have him. So make sure that you sign up if you haven't. There's also a giveaway, or not a giveaway, enter the raffle for a free, enter the raffle for the .65 diamond raffle. It's the grand prize raffle. It's provided by PK Bennett Jewelers in Mundelein. It's a $25 raffle ticket. So we'll be drawing those at the end of the gala presentation. So we're very excited about that. And that was very generous of them to provide that. In addition, I think Scott Burton is one of our bronze sponsors. Ray is our breakout table sponsor. And we've got quite a few. I don't know if anyone else on here is
Mike
Mike
Ackerman.
Ackerman. Mike Ackerman is our gold sponsor. So he's awesome for that. Thank you all. And please, just what we need is to help us spread the word on this. Please share with your contacts, invite your friends and associates. Everybody is welcome. They don't have to be a chamber member to attend. So some people are just attending for the comedy show. You can do that and click off after that if they want, or stay for the whole thing. It'll be exciting. We'll make it fun. So just, yeah, help us spread the word on that. And it's up on the website, it's up on Facebook and all the other social sites. Can't miss it. So, or if you have any other questions, just let us know. We're here to assist. So that's it. Everybody have a great Friday, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Great.
Everybody, I want to
Adam,
thank.
what do you have?
Pardon me?
What do you have, Scott?
No, not too much. I'm just going to echo some of the things that Carol said. You know, yeah, this is typically our annual membership gala. So obviously we have to do it virtual. We're looking towards, the April where we can maybe start doing some things live. We're probably going to bring our board meetings back live on those dates. So we'll be able, I know our women's group is chomping at the bit to have their luncheons. And I think we can start doing that in April as well. Now that we're in phase 4, it looks, and the rate is still going down. So, hopefully by the time we hit that second quarter, maybe we'd be looking at going into phase 5, which will kind of put business back to a normal stead, which would be fantastic. Our smaller businesses, I beat this to death, but our smaller businesses have really suffered during this last year, and it'd be nice to get them back where they can actually have a normalcy of their business, which would be fantastic. So, but I got a quick little quote for you. It's very short. It kind of goes along with what we talked about today. It says, if you can't convince them, confuse them. So you guys, Scott, thanks again for being our speaker. I think Tom Godfrey's going to be our speaker next time around. And you guys have a great weekend. Anything we can do, let us know. If you're still having trouble with PPP, if your banks haven't, I know that I talked to 2 people this week that said that their bank hasn't even opened the portal for PPP yet, which is ridiculous. It should have been open 2.5 weeks ago. So in 9 times out of 10, it's the bigger banks. But the smaller banks, we put ours in. We got ours funded this week. The smaller community banks can really do a great job because they're a handoff with the SBA. These bigger banks have got SBA departments, but they're in Timbuktu. You can't talk to them. You can't get around them. And there's probably nobody in the local branches of some of the larger banks that even knows what SBA stands for. So work with your community banks. If you need help with that, I can certainly help you. We've done both draws. We've got our stuff in for forgiveness, and so I can help you walk through it. I had somebody call me from the Buffalo Grove, Lincolnshire Chamber yesterday, and they're having trouble with theirs, and they're not going to get their forgiveness piece. And so I kind of walked them through the process on that. So I've been trying to keep in touch with that stuff through the state. Just got reconnected with Chris Boss recently, and Dan Conkey's been a good friend. So if you need any help with that kind of stuff, just let me know. But you guys have a safe weekend. Stay warm. It's going to be cold. Watch the Super Bowl. Enjoy yourself, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Take care, guys. We'll see you.
Stay safe.